Hi, welcome back to Mindful Serenity Yoga or Waking Up in a Busy World with Nancy, and we're going to continue answering questions from the jar. And as I've said in every video, these questions are an exercise or a practice for me to cement and assimilate and to make more sense of, as well as to apply to my daily life. All this wonderful learning I've been gaining in my own seeking. I am not a master or a teacher or anybody you should be putting all your faith into. I want you to put your faith into you and what's inside you, more so than ever listening to anybody else. I'm just a learner like most people. I'm certainly not equipped like many of the masters out there. So anyway, I am just sharing what I learned so that I learn. I am going to set my timer. Ta-da. 10 minutes. I'm going to give myself to answer a question that's deemed somewhat spiritual in nature. And the question I'm answering, wow, I think I answered this one before. Healthy desire, yes I did. How do I teach yoga beyond the mat? How do I teach yoga beyond the mat is the question. I'm going to take a deep breath. Wow. How do I teach yoga behind the mat? That's one question I think, I'm not even sure where that came from, but it's a question I ask myself all the time and read articles about it. How do we teach yoga beyond the mat? What is yoga? And what we think of yoga in Western terms is not yoga. It's just a small snippet of yoga. As a yoga teacher, I have a yoga studio where I have several students coming. And I teach them basic Hatha yoga. Hatha yoga is that yoga that involves the asanas or the posturing. I teach them mostly because they want the physical benefits of yoga, and at the same time they like the side effect of relaxation that comes with those postures, and especially the postures near the end where we wind down into Savasana or corpse pose. So their reason for coming to my class is based mostly on physical well-being. I don't teach some of the other components of yoga. I do some pranayama, but even that I'm cautious with because it involves a lot of sometimes initiation to certain forms of pranayama that I'm not equipped to give. But at the same time, even though I practice it on a daily basis myself and know that I understand it, it's difficult to teach pranayama to certain students. Many of them find that pranayama, of course, is the breath control and the breath work that we do in yoga. Find that the most difficult component of it. I just don't know how to breathe like the way you're breathing, or I don't know how to breathe with this posture. And I teach them through it. I guide them through it by saying we inhale here, we exhale there. And then occasionally we'll do some alternate nostril breathing or some kriya or something that involves pranayama, but nothing compared to what they could be getting from a master or someone else who teaches exclusively pranayama. Anyway, so pranayama and the asanas are two components of yoga. Yoga is actually, Patanjali's yoga or Raja yoga is actually made of 8 limbs. And the asanas and the pranayama that we come to know as yoga in our Western society is only a small snippet of what yoga is and what yoga can offer us as human beings. There are 8 limbs, like I said, and the 2 yamas and niyama. They involve ways of being or morals of conduct. Then we have the asanas and the pranayama to help us do the next 4, which take us from getting out of the body, getting out of our heads and into the body, and from out of the body and out of our heads into the consciousness of who we really are. And we do that through focused concentration, meditation, and other things that involve our practice of towards the ultimate, which is samadhi, which is, I don't even go in there yet, but it's the ultimate in yoga understanding. And the whole process is take us to self-realization, realizing who we really are behind these busy minds and this identification we have with the body, with that beyond our feelings. that consciousness, which is the witness of everything and that's here to experience life fully. Once we remove the veil of who we think we are, we can experience life at a deepest level. And we can experience all of it unconditionally without resisting any of it, without selecting what's pleasant over what's not pleasant, without using desire, becoming lost in desire or aversion, just allowing all of life to come in. Most of us can't do that yet. Most of us don't understand full yoga yet, because yoga is merging with the higher consciousness, because we're so caught up and tangled up in this idea we have of little me. We're so lost in our busy minds, and many yoga masters refer to the busy mind of most individuals as being like a monkey, a drunk monkey that just got stung by a scorpion, meaning that our minds are so, we're not even aware what we're doing half the time. We're just tramping around, intoxicated on this or that, lost in our busy world focus, our doing, our attachment to certain things and people. And we're so reactive, like the sting of everything is stinging us like a scorpion sting, and we're reacting and snapping back and striking out in a purpose to defend and attack. And we do this because we see ourselves as these tiny little me's, these psyches that we've derived. Mental modifications, Patanjali called them. This idea that we are these limited, separate beings that are constantly vulnerable and at the mercy of others and other things. And when we think like that, we have a tendency to want to make our lives as comfortable and as safe as possible. We draw into our existence those things that are pleasurable. We push away those things that are unpleasurable or possibly dangerous by resisting and saying, I don't want that energy inside me. When as higher consciousness, when we become true yogis, we realize that everything is of value. Everything we experience is of value. It is important that we embrace all of it, and let it all in and let it all out, and we don't resist, and we don't become these bodies tense that I see so often coming into the studio, these bodies uptight and tense with years of resisting things that people don't want to experience instead of experiencing it all. I would love to teach everybody that comes into my studio more than just the asanas and more than just the breath control. I would love them to meditate, because I am a certified meditation and mindfulness teacher, but people just don't seem to like that part. In fact, many find the savasana as well as the pranayama the most difficult components of yoga, because they don't want to sit with those busy minds. They don't want to stop and be still for a while because they find it too challenging. They have to face what's going on in their scorpion-bitten, drunken monkey minds. And that's hard. But if I could teach them that they are not that mind, that though they can't stop the mind from doing what the mind does, they can get beyond it. They can transcend it. They can not only leave the mind for the body, which we can do in that 1 hour. I can give them that. I can help them to get out of the mind and focus on the body and on the breath and the moment they're in. But I would like them to take with them when they leave the studio after the hour and a half, to take with them this understanding that they are so much more than the body and the mind. And if they can see what their minds are doing and see that though they cannot fix their minds in the sense that they can't give the minds everything the mind wants from the world, they can get beyond the mind and serve the deeper part of who they are. And once they realize who they are beyond the mind, beyond the body, beyond this personality and the roles we play, there is so much freedom. So much freedom. There's no need for tension. There's no need for these knots and tangles and bodies and minds that I see so often in my studio. There is freedom. There is so much. And what I also teach them in yoga is how to relax, which is so important in how we approach life. If we learn to relax with what life gives us, see it, accept it, appreciate it, and honor it rather than resist it, we wouldn't have these tangled up bodies and tangled up minds and these hearts that are hurting. We would be free of that. And I wish I could give them that. So the question was, how do we teach that? We use what we have, that hour and a half, to teach relaxation, to teach breath control, to teach. And every now and again I slide in, this is not who you are, you're safe, there's nowhere you have to go, nothing you have to do, there's just here, there's just now, everything's okay. Let the mind do what the mind does, it's not who you are. And I use that Savasana at the end to try to bring them as close as I can to a Yoga Nidra so that they are realizing that to some extent, even if it's only a superficial extent. And I want them wanting more. I do. I want them wanting more. And my example as a yogi is probably the thing that can help the most in that. If they see me peaceful and calm on the mat, and then they see me peaceful and calm off the mat, they may wonder what that is that allows me to take what I do in the studio, outside the studio, into my daily life. And they can do the same by taking it into their daily life. Yoga is a way of life. It's not an hour and a half practice. And I do tell them that, though I wait for them to be ready and willing to want and accept more. And that's it. It's a readiness game. We give them what they're ready for, and we wait for them to be ready for more. Just like we had to wait to be ready for more before we took those parts of our practice into our daily life. Well, anyway, I'm hoping that makes sense. I know I'm just rambling. I'm trying to get the third video in today. I've only got 2 in, so I'm just trying to make it 3. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I do hope you have a wonderful day, and namaste.